Please welcome our next speaker, Øyvind Nydal. He has a webpage, buildelectroniccircuits.com. He's going to talk to us about traveling the world as a maker. Please welcome Øyvind.
Thank you. For the last 16 months, I've been traveling around the world and teaching people how to build electronics online. I'm going to start with a story about from one day of my life when I lived in Guatemala. See, it's just the same slide over and over again. Or is it the wrong button? This one, yeah. Okay, this is me in my room in Guatemala just shortly after I arrived. I'm in a city or a small town called Flores. It's on an island in a lake in the deep jungles of Guatemala. It's really warm and it's a beautiful July morning. I put on some clothes and I go downstairs to the cafe that I live above. And a 50-year-old Guatemalan woman greets me saying, "Buenos días, Øyvind." So I reply, "Buenos días." Then she asks me, "¿Quieres desayuno?" And I learned a little bit Spanish so far, so I knew that that meant, "Do you want breakfast?" So I say, "Sí." And she goes into the kitchen and prepares something for me. Then a Guatemalan girl comes out, serves me my food. And it's a great Guatemalan breakfast with freshly squeezed orange juice and a freshly brewed coffee. And I eat my breakfast, it's delicious, and then another Guatemalan girl comes up to me, greets me, sits down at my table, and says, "Listo." And she asked me if I'm ready, because she's my Spanish teacher, and for the next 4 hours, we talk almost exclusively in Spanish. That's her. I finish my Spanish lessons, and a few local guys comes up to the cafe, asks me if I want to go swim in the lake. And it's really warm, so of course I want to swim in the lake. So we jump out in the water, try to impress each other with cool jumping tricks, and I feel like a 10-year-old kid again, and it's really cool. We play around in the water for a couple of hours before we go back to the cafe, where we have lunch, and then I start my working day. I take out some equipment and I start programming firmware for an HDMI touchscreen. After a few hours of that, I start writing a blog post about how microcontrollers work, and I post it on my blog. I finish up the blog post, then I go out and I meet some newly acquired friends, both some locals and some other travelers. We go up to this bar overlooking the lake, and it's really beautiful. We have a few beers and talk and laugh and have dinner. And then I go home and thinking that, wow, I'm finally here. I've been dreaming about this for so long. That was one day of my life when I lived in Guatemala. And since then, I've been traveling around the world, having a lot of great experiences. I've been snorkeling in cenotes in Quintana Roo in Mexico. Been drinking homemade tequila on the countryside of Mexico, dancing weird dances to mariachi music. Been seeing ancient pyramids in Tikal in Guatemala. Been living on Miami Beach, living out the party life there. I went to Maker Faire Rome in Italy last year, visited that. I seen some amazing beaches. I've learned to sail and had a great amount of experiences this last year. So all this has been possible because I'm a maker. And it all started when I was young. When I was young, I loved building stuff. I built Lego, I built guitar, I built video games, I built websites, and I really loved building stuff. And I always had a dream about if I could do this as a living. But I also wanted to travel the world. I wanted to see remote countries, I wanted to experience different cultures, and I wanted to have adventure. But I didn't know how to combine these things. So what I did, I went to university. I studied microelectronics. I did a master's degree in microelectronics, and after 5 years in 2009, I went on to go to Singapore. I did a 3-month entrepreneurship course there, and I got back home, and I didn't really want to get a job. It didn't sound like something I wanted. So instead, I founded a company with a friend, Elias Bakken, who's going to talk later today. We founded this company called Intelligent Agent. We made radar technology for robots. So it was a really cool technology. It was this radar technology where you can see through walls, and it was really, really cool. We loved it, but it was a little bit hard to sell. So after 3 years in 2012, I decided to take a break. We were out of money, we couldn't sell the stuff, so something had to be done. So I decided to take a break from the company, and I started thinking, what do I do now? And I didn't have much money saved up, and so I wasn't sure what to do. I still didn't want a job. So I dabbled for a little bit, for a few months, but I have been doing this blog part-time for the last 6 months, where I've been writing about electronics. I always found the universities and textbooks way too theoretical. I wanted to talk about how to build stuff, not just learn the theory and then never do anything about it. So I wanted to inspire people to build stuff and teach people the practical skills on how to make electronics. So I was writing about that on my blog. Then I met these 2 guys on the picture there that were doing some really cool stuff. They were traveling around the world and teaching people about something totally different online, and they were making money online. So I was getting really inspired. Like, is that something I could do? Could I teach my electronic skills online and travel? So I started thinking about that. But there were a few things that were holding me back. I had some false beliefs. Like, false beliefs number 1 was that I felt like if I were going to travel, I needed a lot of money. So I needed to work a lot and then save up money and then go somewhere. I guess this comes from when I go on holiday. I usually always spend a lot of money and I end up broke. But the fact is that I lived in Norway, probably the most expensive country in the world, so anywhere where I would go, it would be cheaper. And I had a friend who was already traveling in Mexico, and he was telling me about how cheap it was to live in Mexico. And here's a few examples from when I lived in Mexico. This is me on the top. I paid $300 per month for a private room, private bathroom. I had a huge rooftop terrace on the top right, and breakfast every day. The room was cleaned every second day, and I paid $300 for that per month. On the bottom there, I have another example where I wanted to splurge a little bit more. I lived in a beautiful apartment on the beach in the center of Puerto Vallarta in Mexico. It was beautiful. It had the view of the ocean. I could sit in my couch and see dolphins jumping in the ocean, and that cost me $500 per month. And eating out at restaurants was usually like $3 or $4. So it wasn't. I realized that it wasn't expensive to live in other countries. So another false belief that were holding me back was that people don't want to pay for knowledge since there's so much free information available. I wanted to teach electronics, but there's already a lot of information out there. So I was a little bit afraid that people don't want to pay for it. But the truth is that there is a lot of information out there, but it's usually a little bit overwhelming. And I know from myself that if I want to learn a new topic, I have no problem paying for a book or a course to learn it so that I don't have to Google my way to finding the relevant and discarding the irrelevant information. And the third false belief that I had is that it felt a bit wrong to charge people for information because in this open source days, everything is open and free information. So it felt a bit wrong. But I realized that when I choose to make something and charge people money for it, I put in so much more effort into making it really, really good. I make sure all the relevant information is there. I take away everything that is irrelevant, and I put so much more effort into it. So I believe that by charging people for it, you actually make a better product. But still, I believe in free information, and I put out a lot of free information still. I think probably 80% of what I do is free information. So I decided to make a course. I made a course on how to build circuit boards. And I put it out there, and I sold my first course. And it was such an amazing feeling to, like, yes, I got the first sale. It's possible to make money online, yeah. So I decided I'm going to Mexico. I didn't have the money for it. I didn't sell a lot I just sold a few. So I didn't have enough money to actually go to Mexico. But I just decided I'm going to Mexico. I'll find the money some way. And a few days, yeah, I think it was a few days later, I went to my old partner in the old company that I used to work for, just told him about my plans that I was going to Mexico. And then he suggested that, why don't you do some part-time development work while you travel, and you can earn a little bit of money. So boom, money problem solved. And I went to Mexico. And since then, I've been building my online business. I've been traveling in Guatemala, in Mexico, in New York, Miami, Italy, Rome, Sweden, Norway, and now currently I'm living in Berlin. And I will probably be there for a few months, and then after Christmas, I'll go to Colombia or Thailand or Australia. I don't know yet, but somewhere warm. And doing this hasn't made me rich, but I've been, by doing this, I have this amazing freedom where I can be wherever I want to be. I don't have to be anywhere specific. So it has enabled me to live the lifestyle that I want. And I would like to see more people teaching their maker skills online. So just to end it off, I want to tell you briefly how I did it. It's the process that I used and that a lot of people use to teach things online is that they start by writing a blog about it, something they're passionate about. They write about it and start to get some followers, and then figure out what those people are struggling with, which problems do they have in their life, and how can you solve their problems, and then dare to actually charge people for it. And tell people about this product so that people actually know about it. There's a great book by a guy named Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek, which was a thing that inspired me a lot to go for this. Tim Ferriss is a guy who started an online business, and then he traveled the world and automating everything so that he only had to work 4 hours per week. I am not at that level, but it's a really inspiring book about how you can make money online, how you can travel the world, how you can design the lifestyle that you want instead of the lifestyle that everybody else tells you to have. Another good site is smartpassiveincome.com. It's a guy who writes about how you can make money out of your passions, how you can teach people and how you can do that in a good way and live your passions. And the last one is the nomadlist.io. It's a list of different cities around the world, and it tells you how much it would cost you to go there and live there for a few months. And it's really inspiring website to just see all different countries and seeing what's possible. My name is Øyvind, and you can reach me by sending me an email, or you can check out my website. And I hope to see some more cool maker courses online soon. Thank you very much.
So thank you. Are there any questions for Øyvind? Yep.
Well, first of all, you're traveling around the world and you get income. My question is, where do you pay taxes?
Norway.
Norway, okay. I have another question. So how many visitors do you have in your website that allows you to have enough income? And maybe what kind of platforms do you use for selling your products?
The amount of visitors I have right now is 30,000 per month. And what was the second question? What kind of platform? I don't use any platforms. At the moment, I just have everything as videos, and I just sell it as a package that you download. I'm looking into platforms now, but I'm not there yet. Yep.
Any more questions?
How dependent are you on internet when you're traveling? Like, are there limitations in terms of where you can go, or?
Yes, but mostly there's usually internet everywhere. At least the places I've been. I guess some remote areas there will be more problems, but yeah, I haven't had any other problems that the internet is unstable usually, but there's always internet.
Second question, if that's all right. So you've gone to Mexico, do you have plans to try to create local followings as well, or is it a purely online thing?
That's the question I'm asking myself, because I love the offline thing. I'm in Berlin, I've been there for a few months now, and I'm thinking about doing more offline things there, but on the other side, I don't want to commit to one place for too long, so it's kind of a struggle. But I think I will maybe do like small periods of times in different local places.
Any more questions? Next question.
Do you have any thought about maybe teaching others so they can do workshops based on your material, to have different hubs in different countries, and to partly build a business and scale it a little and travel between them?
I haven't thought about it, but it's a good idea.
No more questions? Okay, so thank you, Øyvind, for an inspiring talk.
Thank you.
You man.